our wedding anniversary, and my husband Lucia said his military unit had an urgent mission. I smiled as I saw him off, then immediately turned on the tracking device in his car. The GPS showed he wasn't heading to the military zone, but to the city's best maternity hospital. I hacked into the hospital's surveillance system. In the picture, he was carefully supporting a delicate woman, his eyes filled with a tenderness I had never seen before. The woman touched her stomach and asked sweetly, "Sia, have you thought of a name for the baby?" Lucia said, "Let's call her Nyanan, to commemorate our love." My heart turned ice cold. At that moment, my phone rang. It was a call from the military district inquiring about Lucia's whereabouts, watching the affectionate couple on the surveillance feed. I pressed the speakerphone button and calmly replied, "Reporting to the superior, I suspect my husband, Lucia, a colonel in the special forces, may have taken military secrets and defected." With that single sentence, both the superior on the phone and Lucia on the surveillance screen froze simultaneously. On the phone, the voice of Lucia's direct superior, Political Commissar Ju, instantly turned grave. "Comrade Su Wn, could you repeat that? In the surveillance footage." Lucia's phone also rang. He saw the caller ID, his expression changed abruptly, and he frantically hung up. Without a second thought, he then lunged toward me. I didn't answer, I was just facing my phone. Repeating each word clearly and distinctly, reporting to the commander, "Lucia left home today under the pretext of an urgent mission but was spotted at the city maternity hospital. His movements are suspicious, and he has refused to answer military line calls. I suspect he may be attempting to defect." My voice wasn't loud, but it struck like a thunderclap. On the other end of the line, Political Commissar Ju fell silent for a full 5 seconds. "Comrade Su Wn, stay where you are, don't move around. And protect yourself, we'll be right there." The command was concise and decisive. I hung up the phone and quietly watched the surveillance footage. In the footage, Lucia was completely panicked. He abandoned the woman named Bai Wei, frantically calling me while rushing toward the hospital entrance. Bai Wei called out pitifully behind him, "Sai, where are you going? Our baby." He didn't even turn his head. All traces of tenderness and patience vanished from his eyes, leaving only panic and fury. But it was already too late. In less than 10 minutes, several dark green military off-road vehicles roared in, tightly blocking all exits of the hospital. Armed soldiers leaped from the vehicles with swift movements and an intimidating presence. They stormed into the lobby and precisely located their target. "Colonel Lucia, come with us." The pitch-black gun barrel was aimed at him. Lucia raised his hands, his face as pale as paper. He was restrained with his hands behind his back by 2 soldiers and escorted out. As he passed by the entrance of the hall, he saw me. I stood right outside the glass door, watching him coldly. His pupils suddenly contracted, as if he had seen the most unbelievable thing. "Su Wn," he roared, his face twisted with rage. "You're insane. What are you doing?" "I'm innocent," I just sneered coldly. "Yes, I know you're innocent. You didn't defect. You were just brainstorming names for your illegitimate child with your mistress while I was preparing our anniversary surprise. You just cheated during pregnancy. But why should I explain for you? When you wore that military uniform and lied to me, lied to the organization, why didn't you think there would be a day like this?" The soldiers didn't give him a chance to continue his rant, roughly dragging him into the vehicle. The woman named Bai Wei was also taken away under protective custody. She was trembling with fear, and as she passed by me, she suddenly lunged at me like a madwoman. "It's you, you harmed Sia, you poisonous woman." 2 female soldiers swiftly intercepted her. I looked at her tear-streaked face and her slightly swollen belly. "Nyanan," I softly uttered 2 words. Bai Wei's face instantly turned pale. "To commemorate your love, right?" I laughed, so hard that tears almost came out. "What a great name." The surrounding noise fades away. The world before my eyes turns into shades of grey. "Lucia, the game begins. You destroyed my love, so I'll destroy everything you take pride in, too." I was taken back to the military compound, not as a family member, but as an important witness. I was received by Political Commissar Ju, a man nearing 50 who commanded authority without showing anger. He personally poured me a cup of hot water. Comrade Sue WN, don't be nervous. Tell us in detail what you discovered today. I held the water cup. My hand very steady. Today is the 3rd anniversary of my marriage to Lucia. This morning, he said there was an urgent mission at the military base and rushed out. I felt something was off right away. What seemed off? Political Commissar Jew pressed. He wasn't wearing his military uniform and drove his personal car. Also, when he left, I saw a piece of paper fall out of his pocket. It was an appointment slip from the city maternity hospital. I pulled a crumpled piece of paper out of my pocket. Of course, he didn't drop this paper. I dug it out of the trash can in his study. He thought he had disposed of it cleanly, but he didn't know that ever since I became pregnant, my sense of smell had grown unusually sharp, and I had detected the scent of perfume on him that didn't belong to me. From that day on, I was no longer myself, but a hunter. Political Commissar Jew took the list, his expression growing increasingly grim. Why do you suspect him of defecting? This was the crucial question. I lowered my eyelids, my voice tinged with just the right amount of trembling and grievance. He's been acting very strange lately, often taking encrypted calls late at night and secretly using another computer in his study. When I asked him, he said it was military classified information. As a military wife, I understand discipline. What shouldn't be asked mustn't be asked, but today, he lied to me, saying he was going on a mission, only to accompany another woman to her prenatal checkup. Political Commissar, he dares to deceive even the organization. What else wouldn't he dare to do? My words were half-truths. He does have another computer, but that's the one he uses to play games with his mistress. He did answer calls late at night. But that was because his mistress was experiencing morning sickness and called him to act cute. I saw all of this clearly through the home surveillance, but I can't say that. I want to muddy the waters. Political Commissar Jew's brows furrowed into a deep frown. Do you know the woman he was accompanying? No, I shook my head, but I hacked into the hospital's system and found out her name is Bai Wei. You know hacking techniques. Political Commissar Jew was somewhat surprised. My major in college was cybersecurity. I replied calmly. This was my trump card. Not only could I hack into the hospital's system, but I could also recover all the deleted files and chat records from his gaming computer. Political Commissar Jew fell silent. A special forces colonel, operating covertly, deceiving the organization, and maintaining close ties with a woman of unknown identity, and his wife, a cybersecurity expert, personally reported him. Each element was shocking enough. Comrade Sue WN, the clues you've provided are extremely important. We will immediately launch an investigation. During this period, for your safety, you will need to temporarily stay at the military district guest house. I understand. I have only one request. Go ahead. I want to divorce him. My tone showed no hesitation. No matter the outcome of the investigation, I am determined to go through with this divorce. Political Commissar Jew looked at me with a complicated expression in his eyes. All right, the organization will support your reasonable demands. Stepping out of the office, the sunlight outside was just right, yet all I felt was cold. The phone vibrated once. It was a text message from an unfamiliar number. Sue WN, you bitch, how dare you ruin Sai Yi? My mom won't let you get away with this. It was Lucia's younger sister, Lu Cici. I deleted the message expressionlessly and blocked the number. This is only the beginning. Then, a phone call came in. It was from my mother-in-law. As soon as the call connected, a torrent of curses came pouring out. Sue WN, what kind of evil intentions do you have? How has Sai Yi ever wronged you that you'd harm him like this? You jinx, I never should have agreed to your marriage in the first place. I listened quietly, waiting until she had exhausted herself before speaking calmly. Mom, don't be so quick to scold me. You should be more concerned about your unborn grandson first. The other end of the line fell silent instantly. What do you mean? Lucia is accompanying his affair partner for prenatal checkups at the hospital. The baby is already 3 months old. Oh, and by the way, they've even chosen a name, Nyanan, a tribute to their love. With every word I spoke, I could vividly picture my proud mother-in-law on the other end of the line, her face draining of all color. You're lying, impossible. My son is not that kind of person, she screamed. whether he is or not, you'll find out soon enough. I hung up the phone and let out a long sigh. The pent-up frustration in my chest seemed to ease a little. Lucia, do you think your family is your support? Soon, they will become another straw that breaks you. 3. I stayed at the military district guest house, although called a guest house. Its security level is actually very high, with sentries standing guard at the entrance around the clock. I understand. This is both protection and surveillance, until Lucia's suspicion is cleared. I, as the first person to report the case, cannot act freely either, perfectly suited to my wishes. I need an absolutely safe and quiet environment to prepare for my next move. The investigation team came to see me the very next day. This time, apart from Political Commissar Ju, there were 2 middle-aged men I didn't recognize, dressed in civilian clothes but with sharp demeanors. They were from the security department, specifically responsible for internal investigations. Comrade Su Wan. We've retrieved the hospital surveillance footage and conducted preliminary interrogations of Lucia and Bai Wei. Lucia insists it was merely a matter of misconduct and that he acted out of panic due to feeling guilty toward you. One of the men spoke, his tone measured, but his eyes fixed on me like a hawk's. Wei Bai also said that she and Lucia were just in a simple romantic relationship, and she knew nothing about his work. Is that so? I raised an eyebrow slightly. A simple romantic relationship. I took out a USB drive from my bag and placed it on the table. This contains all the data I recovered from Lucia's so-called gaming computer, including all their chat records from when he first met Bai Wei until now, every penny he transferred to her, and even his improper use of official authority to apply for temporary military family housing for her. The expressions of the 3 people at the table changed instantly. Political Commissar Ju's face showed shock and anger. As for the 2 from the security department, their expressions were unmistakably grave. Issues of conduct are entirely different in nature from abusing one's authority to secure improper benefits for a lover. The former reflects personal moral corruption, while the latter constitutes a serious disciplinary violation, a stain on the military uniform. In the chat logs, Bai Wei repeatedly complained to Lucia, saying she felt unsafe living alone and envied that I could live within the military compound. I recounted calmly, as if telling someone else's story. To reassure her, Lucia lied and said he had already applied for a temporary relocation spot under the Special Talent Family Member Program for her, and that they would be able to move into a residential area not far from the military district soon. That residential area, as far as I know, is specifically designated for family members of military personnel with outstanding contributions and introduced talents. Right. My gaze fell on Political Commissar Ju. Political Commissar Ju's lips were tightly pressed together, not uttering a word. But the veins at his temples were already bulging. The man from the security department immediately picked up the USB drive. We'll verify it right away. After they left, only Political Commissar Ju and I remained in the office. Comrade Su Wan. He sighed, his voice filled with exhaustion. You have suffered injustice. I shook my head. Compared to the grievances I've suffered, I care more about the honor of that military uniform he wears. These words I spoke with complete sincerity. I married Lucia not only because I loved him, but also because I admired him. I admired him as a soldier who stood tall between heaven and earth, a hero who defended our homeland. But now, he shattered all my admiration with his own hands. The organization will not let any scoundrel go unpunished, nor will it wrong an innocent person, Political Commissar Ju assured me. I nodded and stood up to leave. Just as I reached the door, as if suddenly remembering something, I stopped and turned around. A trace of hesitation and uncertainty crossed my face. Commissar, there's something. I'm not sure if I should mention it. Go ahead. That woman named Bai Wei. When I was checking her records, I found out she has a brother named Bai Feng. This Bai Feng doesn't seem to be from our country. He has overseas connections. Moreover, in the chat logs, Bai Wei mentioned several times that her brother was particularly curious about Sai Yi's work and kept asking about matters related to special forces training and equipment. I carefully chose my words, trying to appear like an ordinary family member who had stumbled upon some clues but was afraid of saying the wrong thing. At the time, I thought it might just be curiosity between relatives, so I didn't pay much attention, but looking back now, I can't help feeling something was off. I'm afraid Lucia might have been taken advantage of by this woman. My voice grew softer and softer, finally carrying a hint of a sob. That crying tone was half acted, half genuine, for my dead love, and for my husband who was about to be pushed into the abyss by my own hands. Political Commissar Jew abruptly stood up from his chair, the last trace of warmth vanished from his eyes, replaced by unprecedented vigilance and sharpness. What's her brother's name? Which country is he from? At this moment, the nature of the matter has completely changed, from a simple issue of misconduct to serious disciplinary violations involving abuse of power for personal gain, and now, to major suspicion of potentially endangering national security. Lucia, I've already maneuvered this chess game into a dead end for you. My mother-in-law, Lu Xiuqin, eventually tracked me down. Unable to force her way into the guest house, she threw a tantrum right at the entrance. Su Wn, you venomous-hearted woman, get out here. What sin has our Lu family committed to bring home such a jinx like you? You're driving my son to his death. Her wailing and cursing could be heard clearly from dozens of meters away. The sentry stopped her. But she clawed and scratched like a shrew, completely devoid of the dignity befitting a military district cadre's family member. I stood by the second-floor window, watching the scene coldly. Soon, Political Commissar Ju's orderly, Xiao Wang, knocked on my door. Sister-in-law, the commissar asked you not to go down there. It wouldn't look good. We've already notified Lu's unit to come collect him. Xiao Wang's expression was somewhat awkward. In the military compound, it had been years since such a public scene of hysterics had occurred. It's fine, I said calmly. Let her curse. If she doesn't do it now, she won't get another chance. Xiao Wang froze for a moment, not understanding what I meant. I turned around, took a document from my bag, and handed it to him. Xiao Wang, could you please help me give this to her? It was by Wei's prenatal checkup report that I had color printed. It was clearly written, 12 weeks pregnant, on the ultrasound image. That tiny gestational sac was clearly visible. Xiao Wang hesitated for a moment but still took it. Sister-in-law, you, go ahead, I interrupted him. Some things must be made clear to her. Xiao Wang took those papers and went downstairs. I saw him hand the documents to Lu Xiuqin. At first, Lu Xiuqin refused to take them, still cursing under her breath. When her gaze fell on the words pregnancy test report, her movements froze. She snatched those papers and lowered her head to read them. The world seemed to fall silent. The anger and madness on her face gradually faded, replaced first by shock, then disbelief. Finally, as if all her strength had been drained, she collapsed onto the floor. The papers in her hand fluttered down, scattering across the floor. She stopped crying, stopped cursing, just sat there blankly, like a soulless statue. I drew the curtains. This farce should come to an end. What I gave Lu Xiuqin was the final straw that broke her back. But what I handed over to the investigation team was the truly fatal blow. The clue about Bai Wei's brother by phone caused a fundamental shift in the entire direction of the investigation. The security department immediately formed a top-level task force. Lucia was transferred from the regular interrogation room to a secret location whose name I didn't even know, for isolated interrogation. All his communications were cut off, and he could no longer see any family members or lawyers. He became a code name, a serious criminal suspected of possible collaboration with the enemy. I know, he's finished. Regardless of whether his treason can be proven in the end, the mere status of being a major suspect is enough to put an end to his military career. For a colonel in the special forces, losing the absolute trust of the organization is worse than death. These past few days, I've received countless phone calls. There were Lucia's comrades-in-arms, his father's old subordinates, and all sorts of distant relatives who barely had any connection to him. Some hinted subtly, while others directly pleaded on Lucia's behalf. Su Wn, couples quarrel at the head of the bed and make up at the foot. Why make such a big fuss? Sia just had a momentary lapse in judgment. Men, who doesn't make mistakes, give him a chance. What good does it do you to ruin his future like this? What about the child's future? I ignored all of them. until someone I never expected called me. It was Lucia's father, a retired but still respected old general. His voice sounded aged and weary. Su Wn, let's talk. 5. General Lu and I met at a tea house near the military district. He looked at least 10 years older than the last time I saw him. His temples were streaked with grey, and his once straight back was slightly hunched. I already know how things unfolded. He got straight to the point, his voice hoarse. That bastard deserved to die. I was a bit surprised. I thought he would plead for Lucia's mercy like everyone else. I'm not here today to plead for him. He made a mistake, violated discipline, betrayed you, and betrayed the uniform he wore. He deserves to be punished. The old general looked at me, his clouded eyes filled with deep pain. I just want to ask you one thing. That Baifeng you mentioned, does he really have suspected ties to the enemy? My hand holding the teacup tightened slightly. Dad, call me Uncle Lu, he interrupted me. I'm not worthy to be your father anymore. My heart ached sharply. Uncle Lu, I don't know, I just reported my suspicions truthfully to the organization. I met his gaze with calm eyes. I saw Bai Wei bragging to Lucia in their chat, saying her brother is an executive at a major tech company abroad and has access to cutting-edge technology. She also mentioned that her brother was very interested in Lucia's work and asked many detailed questions about Special Forces daily training, tactical coordination, and even some non-standard equipment. Lucia scolded her at the time, saying these were military secrets and shouldn't be asked about casually, but Bai Wei just acted coquettishly, saying her brother was just a military enthusiast with no ill intentions. I kept this in mind because Lucia's computer did contain some non-classified files he brought home regarding training and equipment optimization. I was worried he might let his guard down because of this woman. This statement was 90% true and 10% false. A mix of truth and falsehood is what makes it most convincing. Baifeng was indeed overseas and genuinely interested in military affairs. However, those questions seemed more like ordinary curiosity-driven inquiries, far from reaching the level of military espionage. But in my mouth, after artistic processing, it completely changed its flavor, especially since Lucia's infidelity and disciplinary violations came first. These suspicious points became utterly fatal. Old General Lu fell silent. Having spent his life on the battlefield, his sensitivity to such matters far surpassed that of ordinary people. He knew that once overseas connections and military intelligence probing were involved, there would be no room for maneuver left, even if it turned out to be a false alarm in the end. Lucia's political career would be completely over. I understand. After a long silence, he let out a deep sigh, as if aging several years in an instant. He brought this upon himself. Su Wn, you've suffered all these years. He took a bank card out of his pocket and pushed it toward me. There's some money in here, not much, but consider it a small compensation from me and Xiuqin. You're still young, with a child to raise, and there's a long road ahead. I didn't take the card, Uncle Lu. I don't want money, I just want a divorce and custody of the child. The house and car under Sai Yi's name are all premarital assets. I won't take them. I only want what rightfully belongs to me. I looked at him and spoke word by word. I don't want anything else. I just want to sever all ties with him and your Lu family. A trace of sorrow flashed in the old general's eyes. He nodded. All right, I promise you, I'll have the lawyer draft the divorce agreement as soon as possible and get him to sign it. Stepping out of the tea house, the sky had already darkened. My phone rang. It was Commissar Ju, Comrade Su Wn. There's new progress on the Special Investigation Team's side. That Baifeng, we've found him. He's indeed employed at an American tech company, and that company has military ties. My heart skipped a beat. This, I hadn't anticipated. I just wanted to muddy the waters, never expected to actually stumble upon a big fish. Not only that, we've also discovered Baifeng recently purchased a batch of high-precision satellite data through illegal channels, covering precisely the mountainous areas surrounding our military district. Colonel Ju's voice was unprecedentedly grave. And that mountainous area is precisely where Lucia's unit is scheduled to conduct live combat exercises next month. I froze in place. my hands and feet turning ice cold. Things seemed to be spiraling wildly out of control in a direction I couldn't contain. 6. I thought I was just adding a groundless accusation to Lucia's list of crimes. Little did I know that my casual accusation would actually point out a hidden threat. Baifeng isn't merely interested in military affairs as it seems. He and the company behind him are attempting to steal our military exercise intelligence. This discovery put the entire task force on high alert. The scrutiny of Lucia was immediately escalated to the highest level. He was no longer considered a suspect but was instead classified as a major target for subversion. Investigators repeatedly questioned him about whether he had disclosed any information regarding the exercise's timing, location, activities, or participating units under Bai Wei's influence. Lucia has gone mad. I learned from indirect sources that he kept roaring in the interrogation room, insisting he knew nothing about Baifeng's affairs, that he had merely committed a mistake any man might make, and that he had not betrayed his country. But no one believed him. A colonel in the special forces, maintaining an improper relationship with a woman of complex background for so long, even deceiving the organization and violating regulations for her sake, under such circumstances. Any defense from him appears feeble and unconvincing. Moreover, Baifeng's purchase of satellite data covering the exercise area constitutes irrefutable evidence, as Baifeng's sister and Lucia's lover. Bai Wei became the crucial link connecting all these elements. After being placed in isolation for investigation, she quickly suffered a mental breakdown. She had no idea what her brother was up to. She was just a woman blinded by love, somewhat vain and foolish, under immense pressure. She confessed every detail of her relationship with Lucia, including how, under her brother's guidance, she subtly probed Lucia about his work. Baifeng told her he just wanted to learn more about his future brother-in-law's heroic deeds, and she believed it. She even sent intimate photos of herself and Lucia to her brother, boasting about what an extraordinary man she had found. All the evidence formed a perfect closed loop, a meticulously planned honey trap. Bai Wei is a pawn, Lucia is the target, and I, the betrayed wife, by sheer coincidence, became the whistleblower who uncovered it all. Political Commissar Zhu personally came to have a talk with me. His attitude had shifted from initial sympathy to solemnity tinged with a hint of respect. Comrade Su Wn, on behalf of the military district, I want to express our gratitude to you. If it weren't for your vigilance and timely report, the consequences would have been unimaginable. He informed me that the National Security Department had already intervened, launching covert arrests and counter-espionage operations against Baifeng and the forces behind him. Thanks to my report, we successfully thwarted a serious case of espionage. The organization will commend you for your contribution, Political Commissar Zhu said. I sat there, unable to utter a single word. The turn of events completely exceeded my expectations. My original intention was revenge, mutual destruction. I only wanted to destroy Lucia, to make him pay the price for his betrayal, but now, it seems, I've become a hero. This is truly the greatest irony in the world. What about Lucia? I asked hoarsely. Political Commissar Zhu fell silent for a moment. There is no evidence that he actively leaked secrets, but as a senior officer, his poor choice of associates led to infiltration and exploitation by enemy agents, resulting in extremely severe risks of information leakage and damaging consequences. His issue is no longer just a simple disciplinary violation. A military tribunal will try him. Military tribunal. These 4 words crashed down like 4 towering mountains. I know Lucia's life is completely ruined. A few days later, I received the divorce agreement signed by Lucia. His signature was shaky, as if he had exhausted all his strength. Along with the agreement came a letter. The stationery was the most ordinary manuscript paper, bearing just a single sentence. Su Wn, you've won. The handwriting was scrawled, the pen strokes so forceful they nearly tore through the page. I could almost picture his bloodshot eyes filled with despair as he wrote those words. I placed the letter and the divorce papers together into the drawer. Did I win? Perhaps so. I destroyed everything he took pride in, turning him from heaven's favored son into a prisoner. Yet why does my heart still feel so empty? Just then, there was a knock on my door. It was guard Xiao Wang. His expression looked somewhat strange. Sister-in-law, no, Comrade Su Wn, outside, Bai Wei's mother has come, saying she'd like to see you. 7. Bai Wei's mother, a middle-aged woman who appeared very plain, her eyes were sunken, her hair graying, and the moment she saw me, she fell to her knees with a thud. Ms. Su, I beg you. Please save our Xiaowei. She wept heart-wrenching sobs, her forehead repeatedly striking the cold floor. She's just a foolish child. She knows nothing. It's all her damned brother's fault. She's been wronged. I watched her quietly, making no move to help her up. It's no use coming to me. I'm not the investigator, nor can I decide her fate. My voice was cold. I feel not the slightest sympathy for Bai Wei. Whether she's innocent or not, the fact remains that she interfered in my marriage and tried to steal my husband. In an avalanche, no single snowflake is innocent. No, you're useful. Everyone says you're the hero. You're the one who exposed this major incident. Mother Bai raised her head, her reddened eyes clinging to the last shred of hope. If only you'd say one word to the chief. Tell them Xiaowei was deceived, that she was taken advantage of. They'd definitely go easier on her. Why should I help her? I retorted. Bai's mother froze. Because there's also a life inside her belly, she cried out. She's still so young. She can't be ruined like this. She's young. But am I not young too? I looked at her and asked word by word, is the life in her womb a life? And the one in mine isn't. I gently placed my hand on my flat abdomen. Here, there had once been a vibrant life too. On the night I discovered Lucia's infidelity, I suffered a miscarriage and had to call an ambulance alone in the dead of night. The baby wasn't saved, at that very moment. My husband Lucia was lying on another bed just a few kilometers away, holding the mother of his Nyanan, promising her their future. I never told anyone about this. This is the deepest scar in my heart. And the root of all my hatred. Mrs. Bai's crying abruptly stopped. She stared at my belly in disbelief, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. When she destroyed my child, why didn't she consider that he was also a human life? When Lucia deceived me and betrayed me for her sake, why didn't he ever consider that I am also his wife? Now, what right do you have to beg for my forgiveness and ask me to be magnanimous? My voice wasn't loud, but every word struck deep. Leave. Her fate will be decided by the law. As for me, I will never forgive her. Mother Bai was taken away by the guard. Utterly disheartened, I stood alone in the empty room, feeling nothing but a chill all over my body. I walked to the window and looked out at the grey sky. Look, Lucia, this is the woman you chose. And your foolish love, it not only destroyed you, but also her, and her family. What you thought was true love was nothing but an elaborately designed scam and a reckless act of foolishness. And I was merely the one who pressed the detonator. A week later, the court-martial began. The trial was conducted in secret due to involvement of military classified information. I attended as a key witness. In the courtroom, I saw Lucia once again. He was wearing a prison uniform, had a buzz cut, and cold handcuffs were on his wrists. In just over half a month, he had become gaunt beyond recognition, with sunken eyes that no longer held their former vivacity. Only a deathly grey pallor remained. When his gaze swept over me, a faint flame flickered in those ashen eyes. It was hatred, a hatred so intense it seemed impossible to dissolve. I looked at him calmly, without a single ripple in my heart. The judge read out the charges against him. No treason. After investigation, there is no direct evidence that Lucia actively leaked the secrets to Bai Feng. However, every single mistake he committed was enough to condemn him eternally. As a high-ranking officer, he lost his ideals and convictions, betrayed his original mission, was disloyal and dishonest to the party, and deceived the organization. He violated the spirit of the Central 8-Point Regulations, exploiting his position to seek benefits for others. He seriously violated disciplinary rules in personal conduct, committing adultery during his wife's pregnancy, causing extremely negative social impact, associating with the wrong people, losing vigilance, being infiltrated and exploited by hostile foreign forces, causing significant potential threats to national security. Each accusation was like a heavy hammer, striking him hard. He lowered his head and remained silent. Finally, the judge looked at me. Witness Sue W.N. As Lucia's spouse, do you have anything to add regarding the above charges? All eyes are on me. Lucia also slowly raised his head. He looked at me with complex emotions in his eyes, as if anticipating something, yet also fearing something. I stood up, glanced at him, and then turned my gaze to the judge. Your Honor, I have nothing to add. I only hope that the court can deliver a fair judgment in accordance with the law. Additionally, I request the court to approve my divorce application. As my words fell, Lucia's body trembled violently. The last glimmer of light in his eyes was completely extinguished. 8. The verdict was quickly delivered. Lucia was sentenced to 3 years in prison. At the same time, he was expelled from the party and the military. Stripped of his rank as colonel and all honors, he went from being a proud son of heaven, a promising special forces colonel with a bright future, to an outright prisoner, an ordinary person forever marked by a stain on his record. This outcome torments him more than death itself. I know his life is effectively over. As for Bai Wei, due to playing a crucial exploited role in the case and being pregnant, she was ultimately deemed an accomplice and sentenced to 1 year imprisonment with a 2-year probation. Regarding her brother Bai Feng and the company behind him, they were handled separately by state security authorities. What awaits them will be even harsher legal sanctions. A grand and dramatic case of defection came to an end in such a manner. I, Su Wan, as a model military spouse who placed righteousness above family loyalty and maintained high vigilance, not only avoided any implication but also received a commendation from the military district. Political Commissar Ju personally handed me a second-class merit citation and a generous bonus. Comrade Su Wan, this is what you deserve. You have averted a significant loss for the country. I gazed at that gleaming military medal, feeling nothing but overwhelming irony. I personally sent my husband to prison, ruined his entire life, yet received such an honor in return. Political Commissar, I don't deserve this. I pushed the medal back. I merely did what any betrayed wife would do. Political Commissar Ju looked at me deeply and finally left the military medal and the bonus. Take it. This is the organization's recognition of you, and also compensation for you. The divorce proceedings went surprisingly smoothly. With the military district stepping in, the court issued the verdict that same day. Lucia and I have nothing to do with each other from now on. I didn't take a single penny from the Lu family, only my own belongings. The day I left the military compound was a sunny one. I dragged my suitcase along the familiar tree-lined path. This place, once what I thought was my home, was my haven of happiness. Now, only devastation remains in sight. A black sedan pulled up beside me, the window rolled down, revealing General Lu. Let me give you a ride. His voice was aged and hoarse. I shook my head. No need, Uncle Lu, I'll walk by myself. Su Wan, he called out to me, his lips moving as if wanting to say something. But in the end, it turned into just a sigh. In the future, live well. I nodded without looking back, dragging my suitcase as I walked step by step out of the place that had held all my youth and love. I used my bonus and some of my savings to rent a small apartment in the city. I needed a fresh start. I changed my phone number and cut off all contact with everyone from my past. I just want to quietly lick my wounds. However, the peaceful days didn't last long. One night, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. I thought it was a sales call and hung up without a second thought. But that number persistently called again. I answered with some impatience. Who is it? From the other end of the line came a voice that was both familiar and unfamiliar to me. It was Lucia's younger sister, Lu Cici. Her voice was no longer the arrogant and domineering tone from before, but carried a suppressed sob. Su Wan, my brother, he's had an accident. My heart skipped a beat. He committed suicide, in prison. 9. What did you say? My mind went blank, and my phone nearly slipped from my hand. He was found this morning, using a bedsheet. He was already gone. Lu Cici was sobbing uncontrollably on the other end of the phone. Su Wan, are you satisfied now? You drove him to his death. You murderer. I couldn't make out a single word of her curses that followed. The only sound left in my ears was a buzzing roar. Lucia is dead. He committed suicide. I hung up the phone, collapsed onto the sofa, my entire body cold, trembling like a leaf in the autumn wind. I hate him. I take revenge on him. I personally send him to hell, but I never thought of wanting him dead. I just wanted him to taste the pain I endured, to make him pay for his betrayal. Yet he chose the most extreme way to end it all. My chest felt as if blocked by a massive stone, making it hard to breathe. Tears surged out without warning. I don't know how long I cried, until the sky had completely darkened. I wiped away my tears, stood up, and walked over to the drawer I had never opened. I took out the letter that Lucia had left for me. Suwn, you've won. Now, looking back, these 5 words feel more like a suicide note. He was telling me that he had conceded defeat in this war. He used his life to draw a bloody full stop for my so-called victory. Did I win? Looking at my pale face and swollen eyes in the mirror, I could only laugh bitterly. We both suffered heavy losses. There were no winners. I did not attend Lucia's funeral. The Lu family would not want to see me. And I did not want to face that scene. I only sent a wreath through someone else, with nothing written on it. All grievances, love, and hatred vanished with his death. I began to replan my life. Using my professional knowledge, I quickly found a job as a cybersecurity engineer at a top domestic internet company. The salary was generous, and the work environment was excellent. I started trying to meet new people and experience new things. I thought time would heal all wounds, until that day, when I saw a familiar figure downstairs at the company. It's Bai Wei. She was wearing a simple dress, her belly already quite noticeable. Because it was probation, she didn't go to prison. Just had to report regularly to the community. She looked utterly haggard, with not a trace of color in her face. When she saw me, she froze, her eyes filled with complex emotions. There was hatred, resentment, but more than that, a sense of fear and evasion. Instinctively, she shielded her stomach and turned to leave. "Stop," I called out to stop her. She stiffened all over, stopping in her tracks, but did not turn around. I walked up to her, looking at her prominently swollen belly. "Is the baby doing all right?" I don't know why I asked that question. Perhaps it was the instinctive compassion of a mother who had lost a child. Bai Wei's body trembled slightly. She lowered her head, her voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. "The doctor said, it's developing very well." "That's good," I nodded. "From now on, live well." With that, I turned to leave. "Wait a moment," she suddenly called out to me. I turned around and saw her eyes, red and brimming with tears. "I'm sorry." She looked at me and spoke, word by word. I know it's ridiculous to say this now, but I still have to say it. "I'm sorry, Suwn. I was blinded by greed. I ruined you, and I ruined Sai Yi. I ruined everything. If only time could turn back." "There are no ifs," I interrupted her. "Bai Wei, I won't forgive you, never. But I don't hate you anymore either, because the person I hated the most is no longer here. All hatred has lost its foundation. The child is innocent. For his sake, you should live well." I left these words and turned to walk into the office building. The moment the elevator doors closed, I saw Bai Wei crouched on the ground, covering her face, weeping silently. I closed my eyes, shutting everything out behind me. It was all over. 10. Life really seemed to be moving in a better direction. I worked hard and demonstrated outstanding abilities, quickly earning my supervisor's appreciation and being promoted to project team leader. I started working out, learning flower arranging, and volunteering at orphanages on weekends. I strived to make my life fulfilling and meaningful. I even began trying to embrace new relationships. The other party is the company's legal director, a gentle, elegant, mature, and steady man. His name is Linja. He knows my past, but he doesn't mind. He said, "Everyone has a past. I only care about your present and future." Under his gentle advances, my frozen heart seemed to show the first signs of thawing. We started dating, watching movies, dining out. Just like any ordinary couple, everything felt as beautiful as a dream, until that day, when I accidentally saw a photo in his phone. That is a group photo. In the photo, Linja and a young man in military uniform are arm in arm, smiling brightly. The man in military uniform is unmistakably Lucia in his youth. My blood instantly ran cold. Who is he? I pointed at Lucia in the photo, my voice trembling, a barely noticeable flicker of panic crossed Linge's face. But he quickly regained his composure. Oh, he's my college classmate, also my best friend, he smiled, speaking in a relaxed tone. What a pity, he died young. His name is Lucia. My brain buzzed as if struck by a heavy hammer. Linge is Lucia's brother. How is this possible? How could there be such a coincidence in the world? We grew up together as childhood friends. Linge's gaze fell on me, his eyes becoming deep and complex. Sia has always been a proud and stubborn person since childhood. Once he sets his mind on something, not even 9 oxen could pull him back, whether it was joining the military or loving you. My heart clenched violently. So, you approached me it was for him. Lin Test, it was for him. Linge did not deny it. He met my gaze calmly. After Sai passed away, I was sorting through his belongings and found the diary he had written. The diary was filled with you. My breath hitched. He said he knew he was wrong, that he regretted it. He said the person he had wronged most in his life was you. He had planned to reform himself well in prison and, after getting out, spend the rest of his life making it up to you. But he didn't live to see that day. Linge's voice carried a hint of sorrow. A man as proud as him, losing his military uniform, losing you, it meant losing everything. He couldn't hold on any longer. In his final diary entry, he asked me that if I ever met you someday, to take good care of you on his behalf. I stood there dumbfounded, unable to utter a single word. So all of this wasn't a coincidence after all. It was Lucia's arrangement. He used his own death to pave another path for me. Suwan. I admit that my initial approach to you was at Sai's request. Linge looked at me with utmost sincerity in his eyes. But during this time spent with you, I've been drawn to you, your strength, your kindness, your independence. I've realized I've truly fallen in love with you. This has nothing to do with Sai. It's me, Linge, who has fallen in love with you. Suwan. He grabbed my hand, his tone earnest. Give me a chance, and give yourself one too. Okay. I looked at him. At his features so reminiscent of Lucia's, at the deep affection and hope in his eyes. My heart is in turmoil. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. After the college entrance exams ended, my younger brother secretly booked a flight to Sawadika country. I pretended not to know and even transferred him 20,000 yuan for travel expenses. In my previous life, I not only stopped my brother but also told our parents. He hated me for a full 6 years because of this. While I was abroad on my honeymoon, he sold me and my husband to a scam compound. Seeing the video of my legs being broken, he laughed hysterically. You deserve this. All of this is what you deserve. You ruined my life, and I'll make sure you suffer forever. Why did you stop me from going abroad back then? My husband desperately rushed to save me, only to be beaten to death with clubs. After enduring humiliation for over a decade, I returned to find my parents' graves overgrown with weeds. I died with bitter resentment in my heart. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my younger brother secretly booked his plane ticket. Sis, I want to travel abroad alone. I've already prepared all the travel plans. My 4 years younger brother Jiu Fei stood before me, shaking my arm excitedly. Seeing my lack of reaction, he impatiently gave me a shove. Sis, say something. I've had enough. I'm an adult now. What right do you have to stop me from making my own decisions? I've listened to you my whole life. Studied hard, got into college, and now even the Gaokao is over. How much longer are you going to control me? He shoved me, and I stumbled backward, hitting the armrest of the sofa. The pain snapped me back to reality instantly. I saw my perfectly intact legs, standing firmly on the ground. My hands trembled as I raised them to touch my face. A face full of collagen. I realized I had truly been reborn. I looked at the demon before me, my dear younger brother who had personally pushed me into hell in my previous life. Overwhelming hatred nearly drowned me, and I struggled to force a stiff smile. Jiu Fei, you're all grown up now. We shouldn't be meddling in your affairs anymore. With that, I picked up my phone and directly transferred 20,000 yuan to him. I showed him the screenshot of the successful transfer. I trust you completely. Here's some travel money. Go enjoy yourself. Ask me for more if it's not enough. Ji Yufei's eyes instantly widened in disbelief as he stared at me, even reaching out to feel my forehead. Sis, you're not running a fever, are you? How come you're being so agreeable today? I swatted his hand away and tried to make my expression appear gentler. I've done some self-reflection. We were too strict with you before, always afraid you'd take the wrong path, but now you're an adult with your own ideas. Do whatever you want to do, sis supports you. Ji Yufei jumped for joy, let out a cheer, and ran back to his room clutching his phone. That's great, I'm booking the tickets now. Sis, you're literally the best sister in the world. Listening to his excited shouts, my heart turned ice cold. In my previous life, when Ji Yufei proposed traveling alone, I sternly refused him citing safety concerns. Later, I accidentally discovered his secret social media account filled with curses toward our family and his true plans. He had secretly booked a plane ticket to Sawadika land, aiming to debut as a beautiful female celebrity. I was terrified when I found out and immediately told my parents. Both my parents are extremely traditional and conservative intellectuals. The moment they heard their son wanted to undergo gender reassignment, their blood pressure skyrocketed with anger. My dad pulled out his belt, and my mom grabbed a feather duster. Together they gave Ji Yufei a fierce beating while confiscating his passport and ID card. I never expected Ji Yufei to hold a grudge against me from then on. He believed I stood in the way of his dream of stardom and ruined his life. He blamed all his resentment on me, ultimately repaying his hatred with my life and my husband's. In this lifetime, I won't meddle in others' affairs anymore, respect others' fate, let go of the savior complex. Thinking of this, I took out a plate of cut watermelon from the fridge and pushed open my younger brother's door. He was grinning at the computer screen, but as soon as he saw me enter, he snapped it shut with a click. He looked at me warily. You regret it again. I knew you'd be like this every time, never keeping your word. I smiled and placed the watermelon on his desk. How could I not? I absolutely have to support you. Changing the subject, I pretended to worry and said, but Mom and Dad would never agree. They'd definitely say it's too dangerous for you to go to Sawadika country alone. Sure enough, my brother's expression changed. He frowned, clearly deep in thought. I patted his shoulder reassuringly and said, you'll have to figure out how to convince Mom and Dad yourself. This is as far as I can help you. During dinner, Ji Yufei seized the opportunity to share his travel plans. His parents exchanged glances, their expressions showing hesitation. Where are you going? And with which classmates? Well, just to Korea. All my classmates say it's really fun there, so we wanted to check it out. My dad put down his chopsticks and said worriedly, you're unfamiliar with South Korea. Why not let your sister go with you? Ji Yufei immediately protested. I'm not a kid anymore. Besides, my sister has graduation photos to take and her thesis to finish. She doesn't have time to accompany me. I quickly chimed in. Little brother has grown up. And South Korea is quite safe anyway. Let him go. He can send us daily photos to keep us updated. It'll be fine. Seeing that I agreed too, my parents finally relented. Alright then, do you have enough money? Be careful and don't wander off. Plenty. Sis already sponsored me, too. In the first few days, Ji Yufei kept his promise by sharing beautiful scenes of Korea in their family group chat. One moment it was the bustling night view of Dongdaemun, the next it was sizzling Korean barbecue. He even specifically took photos of a few Korean girls and posted them in the group chat, saying, Mom and Dad, look, there are so many beautiful girls here. My mom replied cheerfully, you little rascal, be careful and don't just stare at pretty girls. My dad, however, sternly reminded him, no reckless spending, no drinking, and make sure to return to the hotel early at night. I simply silently liked every photo he sent, never adding any unnecessary comments. About a week later, the photos in the group chat stopped updating. The first one to freak out was my mom, who started frantically tagging my brother in the group. Son, why aren't you posting photos anymore? Ji Yufei, reply as soon as you see this, otherwise, we'll call the police. The phone calls went unanswered. And Mom and Dad were completely panicked. They contacted their son's classmates, but all of them said they had never made plans with Gu Fei to go to Korea. Mom and Dad were at a loss and filled with regret. My father's hair turned half white overnight, muttering to himself, "It's all my fault. Why didn't I stop him back then?" My mother held me and cried, "What do we do? Has something happened to your brother?" I pretended to be even more heartbroken than they were. As I cried, my eyes rolled back, and I collapsed straight onto the floor. My parents were terrified and rushed me to the hospital in a panic. The doctor said I was suffering from acute emotional distress and excessive grief. After I woke up, I grabbed my mother's hand, sobbing uncontrollably. "Mom, Dad, it's all my fault. It's all because I persuaded you to let him go. If anything happens to my brother, I don't want to live either. My life has no hope left." As I spoke, I took advantage of their distraction, grabbed a fruit knife from the hospital room table, and slashed it across my wrist. Of course, I just scraped my skin a little and bled a bit, but it was enough to scare my parents out of their wits. My father snatched the knife away, trembling with anger. "You child, if something happens to you again, how are we supposed to live?" My mother hugged me, crying her heart out. "Yes, your brother is already missing. You can't scare us like this anymore." They suddenly realized they still had a child and absolutely could not give up. The two of them forced themselves to stay strong, continuing to ask others to search for their younger brother while pouring all their care and attention onto me. The police soon provided an update. According to Gu Fei's passport information, he had not gone to South Korea at all, but had instead flown directly to Thailand. However, the Thai police made little progress, and in the end, they could only handle the case as a missing person. My parents seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. To give them an outlet for their stress and pain, I signed them up for an audition for a short play. "What? Acting?" My mother's eyes widened in surprise. "Don't be ridiculous. At our age, how could we possibly act?" My dad also shook his head. "These are things for young people to play with. We won't go." I held their hands and said firmly, "Mom and Dad, just treat it as going out to have fun, to experience something new. You've been through so much pain. You need an outlet to let it out." When we arrived on set, the director asked them to try acting out a scene where they lose their child. My parents didn't need to act at all. My father stood there, his eyes vacant, tears silently streaming down his face. The despair and restraint of a middle-aged person losing their child brought a hush over the entire set. My mother, on the other hand, knelt directly on the ground, pounding the floor. That kind of heart-wrenching cry was something no acting skill could ever achieve. The director immediately made the decision, "You're the ones." Through this thorough emotional release, Mom and Dad felt as if a heavy burden in their hearts had been lifted somewhat. They began taking on various short dramas, always playing the roles of wealthy parents. My father's elegance and authority, along with my mother's grace and compassion, quickly made them popular in the short drama circle. They became the most sought-after wealthy parents character actors in the industry. My parents have completely given up on their obsession with me taking the civil service exam because of Gu Fei. They said that as long as I am happy and healthy, that's all that matters. So I resigned from the foreign company and returned to the dance studio. In the mirror, my figure is still as graceful as ever. By chance, I visited my parents on a film set and was immediately noticed by the director. The director said I had a fragile yet resilient quality that was perfect for the female lead in his new movie. Over the years, my parents gradually moved past the shadow of my younger brother's disappearance and focused more on their acting careers. Our family became increasingly popular. Appearing on several variety shows one after another, my parents started transitioning to various TV dramas, and I also won the Best Newcomer award for that film, becoming a somewhat well-known star in the industry. 3. In this life, I have also ended up with my husband from my previous life. He approached me on his own initiative backstage at an awards ceremony. "Miss Gu, hello, have we met somewhere before? You look very familiar to me." I suppressed the surging bitterness and longing in my heart. The image of him dying for me in my previous life was still vivid in my mind. I deliberately teased, "Mr. Ju, is this how you flirt with female celebrities? That line is way too cheesy." But he was very serious. "No, I mean it, your eyes remind me of someone very important." My heart ached. But I smiled even more brightly. "Well, it seems I have a common face. My husband comes from a wealthy family and is a well-known investor in the industry to support my career. He became the primary investor for many of my works. With his support and my parents' reputation, my resources improved significantly, and I quickly rose to become a top-tier actress. Our family became even wealthier and successfully moved up a social class. Although Mom and Dad's lives were filled with filming and variety shows, they never gave up on searching for Jiu Fei. They even offered a hefty reward abroad for any information that could lead to clues about Jiu Fei. I secretly worked behind the scenes to prevent all of this. Using my connections, I intercepted most of the truly valuable information, only allowing them to receive some insignificant false leads. Until that day, a call I didn't manage to intercept reached my dad's phone. The caller was a private investigator who said my brother had debuted in Sawadika country and had become a household name in that area. My parents were so overjoyed they shed tears of happiness and opened champagne to celebrate that very night. But after the joy came deep confusion. That damn kid. My dad angrily slammed the table. If he debuted and became a star, then why hasn't he come back all these years? Why hasn't he contacted us? That ungrateful brat. My mom wiped her tears and said, "Does he have some difficulties? Is he being controlled by someone?" The agent quickly booked us tickets to fly to Sawadika country. Since our whole family are now public figures, our manager repeatedly reminded us to keep a low profile and avoid being photographed by obsessive fans or paparazzi. Actually, that detective had also sent photos to my parents at the time, but the email went to my inbox first, and I secretly intercepted it. In the photos, Jiu Fei had completely changed his appearance. He wore extremely exaggerated heavy makeup and revealing female performance attire, sitting on the lap of an obese older white man. The scene was utterly eye-searing. I expressionlessly deleted the original email, forwarding only a heavily photoshopped stage photo. So altered even his own mother wouldn't recognize him. To my parents, only by letting them see their son's most authentic, most disgraceful state with their own eyes, only then will they be more disappointed and completely give up. 4. We didn't go to see Jiu Fei directly on the night we arrived. I made the excuse that everyone was too tired from the long flight and suggested we rest at the hotel for the night. Meanwhile, I used this time to contact a local friend and asked him to arrange for dozens of people to visit my brother's business tomorrow. I specifically told them to make sure they have a great time. The next evening, I took my parents in an inconspicuous van to the place where Jiu Fei works. It was a chaotic bar district, where the air was thick with the smell of alcohol and cheap perfume. My father frowned instantly. Jiu Fei, he works as a star in a place like this. I feigned surprise and explained for Jiu Fei, maybe the celebrities here are more down-to-earth. As soon as we stepped into the brightly lit and lively bar, the deafening music hit us. Weaving through the smoke-filled crowd, we spotted Jiu Fei right away in the center of the stage. He was wearing heavy, flamboyant makeup, screaming excitedly and playing a strip game. He had just taken off his suspenders, revealing the lace bra underneath, which drove the men around him into a frenzy of cheers. My parents froze on the spot, as if struck by lightning. "You disgrace." My father trembled with rage, grabbing a nearby wine bottle as if to charge forward. That shameless creature, he's completely disgraced the Jiu family's reputation. "Jiu Fei, my child," my mother cried out heart-wrenchingly. Pushing through the crowd and rushing over, shoving the nearby bodyguard aside, she took off her own coat and tightly wrapped it around my brother. "You thugs, get away, don't you dare touch my son." The men were startled by the sudden turn of events. Seeing our tall and burly bodyguards closing in, they cursed and scattered. Jiu Fei was also stunned, hurriedly covering himself with his clothes. When he realized it was my parents and me, he burst into loud sobs, crying even more pitifully than my mother. "Why did it take you so long to come?" He threw himself into my mother's arms, pounding on her back. "I'm so miserable. Do you know how much I've suffered here?" I stepped forward at the right moment, pretending to be shocked and heartbroken. "Brother, what on earth is going on? Didn't you go to South Korea back then? How did you end up here?" Were you tricked into coming? Ji Fei lifted his tear-streaked face, his eyes glaring at me with venomous resentment. Stop pretending, Ji Yushin. You knew I was in Thailand all along. You did this on purpose. He suddenly pushed my mom away, pointed at my nose, and yelled, you deliberately kept mom and dad from looking for me. You bitch. You wish I had died out there. With me gone, the family's money would all be yours. My parents exchanged a glance, their expressions both awkward and stunned. They were clearly shocked by Ji Fei's shameless accusations. My father cut off his sobbing and shouted sharply, what nonsense are you talking? Come back to China with us first, it's not safe here. Just as we were about to take Ji Fei away, a man wearing a floral shirt stopped us, followed by several tattooed strong men. Trying to leave, the boss said with a cigar in his mouth, smiling insincerely, no problem, pay back the money he owes us. And you can take him anytime. It turned out that the money Ji Fei had brought back then wasn't nearly enough to cover the full cost of the surgery, let alone any kind of debut. So he signed a sky-high contract with this boss to become a star, but making a debut is far from easy. Not only did he fail to succeed, but his debt only grew larger. On a daily basis, he had to rely on entertaining these clients to pay off his debts. My parents looked at their once perfectly fine eldest son, now turned into this androgynous figure who had to sell his body to pay off debts. Their hearts were filled with immense sorrow, and they were so angry they almost fainted. In the end, my father's hand trembled as he swiped his card to pay the enormous sum, 5. After the three of us got off the plane, we all put on sunglasses and masks, quietly walking out through the VIP passage. Even so, sporadic camera flashes still went off. Ji Fei clearly hadn't experienced this kind of situation before. He instinctively shrank behind my mother. It wasn't until we got into the nanny van that he finally snapped out of it, watching the reporters still chasing and photographing outside the car window. He spoke with a sour tone, Mom, Dad, Sis, you're all such big stars now. Resentment filled him, that jealousy practically overflowing from his eyes, but he quickly adjusted his expression, putting on a tearful look, his tone dripping with feigned innocence. But I don't blame my sister at all. Even though it was my sister who encouraged me to chase my dreams abroad back then, and it was also my sister who told me not to tell our parents, saying they definitely wouldn't agree. My mother was tenderly wiping his face when she asked in confusion, Ji Fei, what nonsense are you talking about? Ji Fei was taken aback. My mother sighed and said gloomily, your sister never said anything like that. We've known about your secret social media account for a long time. It was you who sneaked abroad, insisting on becoming some kind of female celebrity. What does that have to do with your sister? Ji Fei's face instantly turned as red as a pig's liver. He never expected that the secret he thought he was so clever about was already crystal clear to his parents. Furious and humiliated, tears burst from his eyes again as he began throwing a tantrum. I don't care, she's the one who tricked me, she's the one who ruined me, she's just jealous that I'm prettier than her. Afraid I'll become more famous than her if I debut, he cried in a delicate, coquettish manner, with that accent of his, which made my father's veins bulge with anger. Speak properly, deep down. My father is a very traditional man, he could accept a rebellious son, but he simply couldn't stand his son turning into such a sissy. If you dare speak in that tone again, I'll break your legs. My father raised his hand angrily, wanting to teach this unfilial son a lesson. I quickly stopped him and persuaded. Dad, don't be angry. Don't you love your daughter the most? Now that brother has become a sister, just treat her as your daughter and spoil her. Upon hearing this, my father grew even angrier. What a sin, truly a sin. The atmosphere in the car was unbearably awkward. Before going abroad, my parents had said that my younger brother had suffered immense grievances overseas, and upon his return, they would hold a grand family reunion banquet to announce to the world that the Ji family's son had been found. But after returning from abroad this time, the whole family tacitly avoided mentioning the matter. In fact, we didn't even publicly announce that my brother had been found, because the way he looks now is simply not presentable. Returning home, Ji Fei plopped down into the soft sofa and started playing the victim again. I've really suffered so much these past few years. You have no idea what kind of life I've been living. I nodded and poured him a glass of water. I know, for a man to be bullied by so many other men, it must feel awful. I'd go crazy if it were me. A flash of embarrassment and anger crossed my younger brother's face as he said shrilly, I was forced into it. What else could I do? I know. I went along with his words. Now that you're back, you're safe. No one will bully you anymore in your own home. I even took the initiative to suggest that Gu Fei move into my room. Little brother, my room is the biggest and has the best orientation. You take my room, and I'll stay in the guest room. Seeing how sensible I was, my parents' eyes were filled with approval and relief. My mother held my hand and said, Shinshin, you've really grown up. You're still the most sensible one. My father also nodded. Your brother just came back, and his temperament isn't stable yet. Be more accommodating to him. I nodded obediently. Mom and Dad, don't worry. I'll definitely take good care of my little brother. Gu Fei watched our happy family of 3 with envy, grinding his teeth in jealousy. 6. In the evening, our family sat together in the living room watching TV. When Gu Fei saw the latest period drama starring Mom and Dad airing on CCTV1, he was so shocked his eyes nearly popped out of his head. Dad, Mom, is that you? How did you guys end up on CCTV? My parents just casually replied with a simple Over the past few years, they've starred in at least 8 to 10 dramas aired on CCTV. During the commercial break, I switched the channel to Hune TV. They were replaying my wildly popular historical romance drama that took the nation by storm, showing the scene where I'm dressed in red. Looking both stunning and fierce in a fight sequence, I excitedly patted my younger brother's arm. Look, bro, I'm the actress playing the female lead. How's my acting? Gu Fei curled his lips sarcastically. Average at best. Your eyes were as lifeless as a dead fish's, completely lacking any spark. I pretended to sigh sadly. I'm quite dissatisfied with my acting too. I simply can't understand why audiences insisted on voting me last year's best actress through this drama. Isn't that infuriating? Gu Fei's face turned livid with anger upon hearing this. He grabbed the remote control from the table and hurled it violently at the 85-inch LCD TV, with a loud bang. The TV screen shattered into pieces. Both parents were startled. Gu Fei, what madness are you up to now? My father roared. Gu Fei shouted back, you're all so great. You're all big stars. I'm the only worthless one. You all look down on me, don't you? Stimulated heavily by the 3 of us. Gu Fei reignited his dream of becoming a star. He firmly believed that he was just unlucky. If our parents had supported him back then, he would surely be more famous than all of us by now. He secretly signed himself up for the hottest girl group audition show currently trending. He said he had taken the wrong path before, but now he wanted to return to the right track and prove himself with his skills. On the show, dressed in pink girl group uniforms, he enthusiastically showcased his dancing and singing on stage. To be honest, he did have some talent, but it was mostly just weird. Soon, numerous skeptical voices emerged online. How does this person look like a man? Am I the only one who thinks they look weird? No way, no way. Did contestant number 2 forget to shave their leg hair? Wow, the camera zoomed in, and I saw her thick leg hair. Ha ha ha, never seen such an unkempt idol before. What's wrong with having long leg hair? Everyone has hair on their bodies. Our Fei Fei is the most unique. Unexpectedly, Gu Fei's unconventional behavior actually gained him a group of curious fans, and many people started voting for him, after seeing the online attacks. Their parents worried that their younger brother couldn't handle the cyberbullying and advised him to withdraw from the competition. Gu Fei, maybe you should quit the competition. Mom and Dad can support you if you come back. Gu Fei, however, thought we were afraid of his rising popularity and became even more arrogant. You just can't stand seeing me succeed. Just wait, even bad publicity is publicity. I'm about to blow up. I sneered and anonymously sent a complaint letter to both the production team and the State Administration of Radio, Film, and Television. Not long after, shocking news broke online about a transgender participant joining a girl group show. What's even more explosive is that the whistleblowing information clearly stated that although this person underwent surgery back then, it wasn't a complete removal. from a medical perspective, he is technically still male. This completely blew things up. Netizens overwhelmingly demanded that the contestant withdraw from the show. The mere thought of their pure and innocent idol having to share a dormitory and bathroom with a man drove the fans crazy. Under pressure, the production team immediately announced Ji Fei's withdrawal from the competition. After being kicked out of the show, Ji Fei flew into a rage out of humiliation. He promptly went live on social media, tearfully revealing that he was Ji Shin's biological younger brother and accusing our family of ganging up to suppress him and prevent his debut. He took out the family photo and tearfully accused us of persecuting him. As he wished, our entire family was dragged down by him alone. The whole family was blacklisted. All endorsements, film crews, and variety shows sent us sternly worded termination letters. My parents looked at the overwhelming curses online and felt like they had lost face for 8 lifetimes. Ji Fei was still smashing things at home, yelling and arguing with us. Other celebrities go all out to support their kids becoming star children, even finding all sorts of resources. And you don't even deserve to be parents. You're just jealous that I'm more famous than you now. 7. The brokerage team held an emergency meeting overnight, and everyone's opinion was highly unanimous. Cut ties with Ji Fei immediately and issue a statement severing the relationship. This is the only way to minimize losses. But my parents hesitated. My mother's eyes were red, her face filled with reluctance. No matter how much of a scoundrel he is, he's still my son. He's acting this crazy because he's been provoked. I don't blame my parents. Indeed, no parent would easily give up on their child, even if he were a demon. My parents even tried to persuade me instead, urging me to sever ties with them. Shinshin, you're different from us. You're still young. You can't be dragged down by us. Yes, issue a statement now and shift all the responsibility onto us. I cried while saying that we had finally found my younger brother, and no one could tear our family apart. Meanwhile, behind their backs, I contacted a reality show director I had a decent relationship with. This director's show emphasized one thing above all: authenticity. Not only was it broadcast live 24/7, but everyone's phones were confiscated. Often, even the participants themselves don't know where the hidden cameras are located. I made a phone call to the director, speaking sincerely. Director Wang, our family is being vilified online right now. My brother is being called a pervert, and we're being labeled as accomplices. We want to join your show to present our family's most authentic daily life to the audience. Upon hearing this, Director Wang's voice trembled with excitement. No problem, Shinshin. I'll definitely give you this opportunity. I truly appreciate genuine artists like you. So on the first day of the live broadcast, I lied to them, saying we couldn't stay in China any longer and that I'd secured connections in Hollywood. Our family of 4 scrambled onto a plane headed for a private island. The live stream's chat was instantly flooded with millions of viewers. LOL, still dreaming of Hollywood, get this disgraceful celebrity off the planet. What kind of family raises a pervert who sneaks into girls' dorms? The whole bunch is rotten. There were also a few rational fans who spoke up for me and my parents. I believe in Shinshin and her parents. They've acted in so many great works. Their character can't be bad. But their voices were quickly drowned out by criticism. During the live stream, my brother's words and actions once again crossed the line in viewers' eyes. He bossed our parents around and was even more abusive toward me, either hitting or scolding. Yet my parents always patiently taught and advised him. I even knelt down abruptly before Ji Fei, hugging his legs and begging him through tears. Little brother, I'm begging you, please stop tormenting us. What do you want to finally spare our parents and me? We'll give you anything we can. The online sentiment began to reverse the moment I knelt down. Holy crap, this little brother is born evil. His parents and sister treat him so well. How could he do this? Ji Shin is so pitiful. She even knelt down for her brother. I advised Ji Shin's family to cut ties immediately. There's no saving someone like this. Director Wang seized a chance to secretly call me, excitedly saying, "Our show is now the hottest variety program online. The ratings have broken records. Just hang in there a little longer. Whatever you do, don't crack." Ji Fei was making a fuss on the island, demanding to return home. saying there was no signal here and he was going crazy without his phone. I had no choice but to give him a work phone from the production team, but I had uninstalled all domestic apps beforehand, preventing him from getting any outside news. That day, Gu Fei came running to me excitedly. "Sis, great news. I've contacted a big Hollywood director. He's filming in Southeast Asia right now, and he wants us to go meet him immediately." He secretly used that phone to book tickets to a small country in Southeast Asia. Looking at his excited face, my heart turned ice cold. The place he was taking me to was none other than the familiar hell from my past life. 8. At the moment of boarding that small plane, I sent Director Wang the final signal using my work phone. "Director Wang, my brother is about to sell us to a scam compound. Coordinates sent. Contact domestic police and the embassy immediately. Remember to live stream the entire process without interruption." Director Wang gasped sharply. He instantly realized this would be an episode destined for the history books. When the plane landed, we were taken to a heavily guarded compound, the place where I spent over a decade in my past life. "Everything here feels so familiar." The park's boss smiled and handed Gu Fei a stack of dollars. "Well done, your parents and sister are big stars now, worth every penny." Gu Fei took the money and excitedly kissed it. "You all stay here and film properly. I'm heading back to China first." His parents cried out in disbelief, unable to comprehend the scene before them. "Gu Fei, why, what have we ever done to you to deserve this?" Gu Fei's face twisted into a vicious snarl as he glared at us with pure malice. "Why, because you're all more famous than me. That's crime enough." He burst into maniacal laughter. "I'll go back to China and tell everyone you died tragically in Hollywood. I'll use your deaths to craft my own tragic hero persona, the grieving survivor, and ride your connections and resources straight back to the top of the entertainment industry." The live chat room's barrage has gone completely wild with curses, and the server crashed several times. "We've already called the police. This kind of beast doesn't deserve to die even 10,000 times over. Oh my God, is this live? I can't believe my eyes. Is this even human?" Amid my parents' desperate cries, my face remained eerily calm. I walked step by step toward Gu Fei, leaned close to his ear, and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Little brother, I regret that I couldn't make you relive the suffering I endured in my past life." Gu Fei hadn't yet processed it. "What did you say?" The next second, the iron gate of the compound was rammed open by heavy-duty vehicles, and countless heavily armed police officers stormed in. Gu Fei hadn't even realized what was happening before two police officers pinned him firmly to the ground. All the bosses in the compound were arrested. Watching them being fitted with hoods and handcuffs, I felt a surge of triumphant satisfaction. Vengeance was finally served. For the rest of their lives, they will face the severe punishment of the law. Many innocent victims like us who were deceived can finally be rescued and return home. They were stunned when they saw the fully armed production crew and journalists, upon learning that it was our family who alerted the police. They all knelt on the ground to thank us and the production team. "Thank you. You are our saviors. Teacher Ji Yushin. I'll be your loyal fan forever." 9. Gu Fei was sentenced to life imprisonment for kidnapping, intentional assault, and multiple transnational crimes. With combined penalties for multiple offenses, after returning home, the first thing my parents and I did was issue a public statement, officially severing all ties with Gu Fei. Support. Scum like this doesn't deserve a family. It should have ended long ago. The Gu family raised such an ungrateful wretch. What rotten luck. My heart aches for uncle, auntie, and Ji Yushin. I hope they can live well from now on. If you ask me, this family is like the Ninja Turtles. With that level of endurance, they'd succeed at anything. Because of this heart-stopping real-life experience, our family has become synonymous with justice and anti-fraud. We starred in several crime-themed movies and TV series, playing characters who outsmart criminals. CCTV's legal programs even invited us for an in-depth interview episode. My parents and I sat in the studio, recounting that experience, while the scrolling subtitle at the bottom of the screen read, "Stay vigilant, stay away from scams." Our endeavor has reached yet another level, but that's not enough. I anonymously hired a large group of trolls to send all of Gu Fei's photos and videos from Sawadika country to major marketing accounts, overnight. Videos of him kissing old white men and stripping in bars spread across the entire internet. Netizens treated them like treasures, quickly turning them into all sorts of meme videos and reaction images. Gu Fei has completely become a laughingstock, forever nailed to the pillar of internet shame. My parents came across these bizarre videos while scrolling through short videos. They silently watched those unbearable scenes to the end. That night, my father drank heavily. My mother locked herself in her room and cried all night. The next day, they emerged as if they had let go of the last heavy stone weighing on their hearts. Shinshin, we've seen all those videos, we've completely given up on him. From now on, the Gu family no longer has this son. 10. Gu Fei behaved well in prison and was released early decades later. By that time, I had already won all the major acting awards domestically and internationally, becoming a senior figure in the industry. My parents had also become highly respected veteran actors, admired by many. After his release, the first thing Gu Fei did was come looking for us. He wore ill-fitting old clothes, hunched his back, standing at the entrance of our villa area. Before he could even get close, the security guard, acting on my parents' instructions, mistook him for a beggar and drove him away. But I still managed to contact him and arranged to meet at an inconspicuous private cafe, tears streaming down his face. He grabbed my hand. "Sis, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Please ask Mom and Dad to forgive me." I smiled and withdrew my hand, handing him a tissue. "Don't rush, you're still quite popular now, albeit infamous. I suggest you become an internet celebrity. Live streaming sales would definitely make you money." Gu Fei underwent decades of education in prison and appeared much more honest now. No, I just want to find an ordinary job to support myself. I don't want to be in the public eye anymore." But whenever he went job hunting, as soon as he was recognized, he would immediately be driven away. With no way out, he had no choice but to follow my advice and start a live stream. On the very first day of streaming, his live room was flooded by furious netizens, with all sorts of harsh comments filling the screen. Gu Fei's mental resilience was no longer as strong as it had been in his youth. He was utterly despondent and ran onto the overpass intending to commit suicide. It was me who appeared just in time and saved him. But I wasn't doing it out of kindness. I patted Gu Fei on the shoulder, sighed, and said, "It seems you can't make a living here anymore. Alright, I'll help you one last time. I'll give you some money to send you abroad. Start fresh somewhere else." He was actually grateful to me. Thinking I genuinely cherished our past friendship, I directly connected him with Sawadika country. The boss from back then has already passed away. And now his daughter has taken over the business. My younger brother Gu Fei, do you all still remember him? He wants to return to his old profession again. The person on the phone laughed heartily. Of course I remember. We're actually short-handed right now. Some clients have rather peculiar tastes and specifically prefer someone his age. Don't worry, Sister Gu, once he's back, we guarantee he'll have more orders than he can handle every day. A week later, I received a video sent by them. In the video, my brother, now over 50 years old, was wearing even more exaggerated makeup than before, kneeling on the ground serving a client. I felt relieved and deleted the video completely. My husband drove the car as we went together to my parents' house for hot pot. The sunlight was bright outside the window, while the hot pot steamed warmly inside. In this lifetime, all the people I love live happily and beautifully. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.